Kurt Cobain was a pioneer for grunge rock music during the early 90s. He was the lead singer of the band Nirvana. Many musicians have impacted my life for the positive, but none have definitely impacted me as much as Kurt has. Now, a question that might arise is, how would I know anything about Kurt Cobain? Obviously, I wasn't around in the 90s, but that doesn't really matter. The fact is that his music still perseveres throughout the decades. And as a matter of that perseverance, I have come to know Kurt and his music. Kurt Donald Cobain was born in Aberdeen, Washington on February the 20th, 1967. From an early age, Kurt had an affinity for music. His uncle, on his 14th birthday, gave him a choice. He could either have a brand new bicycle, or he could have a guitar. Kurt chose the guitar, and he began teaching himself simple songs such as Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin and Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. But he also began creating his own songs. Now, while Kurt was in high school, he became very good friends with another musically inclined person. His name was Chris Novoselic. Now, Novoselic was a bass player, and Kurt was a guitar player. And they discussed creating a band. Kurt eventually dropped out of high school and pursued his dreams of creating a band with Novoselic. They named this band Nirvana. The reason why they named this band Nirvana was because both of the boys were heavily infatuated with Buddhist religion and philosophy. And in the Buddhist religion, Nirvana means a sense of enlightenment or freedom from the pain world. So that inspired them to name their band Nirvana. During this time, Kurt met and fell in love with another young grunge rock band lead singer named Courtney Love. And together, they were married and had a child. But also during this time, Nirvana put out the album Bleach and Nevermind. Nevermind being the most sold album that Nirvana had ever produced. They were making waves within the grunge rock movement. They were moderately popular on the mainstream media, but when it comes down to underground versions and underground music, they were topping the charts and became insanely popular with the grunge rock movement. During this time, unfortunately, because of all of the success and because of all of the fame that Kurt had brought upon himself, he fell into a deep depression and began using drugs like cocaine and heroin. Now, Courtney saw this, and she put him into a drug rehabilitation facility. He eventually complied, and he went willingly, but on one night, he asked to go smoke a cigarette, which the faculty and staff said, sure. But on this little cigarette smoke, he climbed the fence and escaped back to his home in Aberdeen, Washington. From Aberdeen, he moved back up to Seattle, to where his original home was, and unfortunately, on April the 8th of 1994, an electrician found his dead body at his home. The electrician was there to install a new security grid and found Cobain with a shotgun wound to his head in his greenhouse. It has now been 26 years since Kurt Cobain committed suicide. He has left millions of devastated fans with bitter hearts and with bitter souls. He left his wife to raise his child alone, and he left his bandmates to go astray. But even though Kurt Cobain has passed away, his music still lives on throughout the years, and it will continue to live on. He has cemented a name for himself in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that is why I admire Kurt Cobain. He has put himself through so much for so many. He was the voice of a generation. Now, while it may not have been my generation, it was still empowering to know that someone could control music and use it to his abilities in order to influence the masses in such a positive way. Thank you, Kurt Cobain.